What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Coach Sean's Kitchen. Today, I'm doing one of my most requested recipes. I'm gonna show you how I like to do pulled pork. So I've got a couple of bone-in pork roasts that I'm doing on my Traeger smoker. We're gonna season them, wrap them, pull them. You're not gonna wanna miss it. This is Coach Sean's Kitchen. First off, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you guys who have tuned in and watched Coach Sean's Kitchen. It really means the world to me that you would take time out of your day to watch one of my videos. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It's the best thing you can do to help any YouTube creator that you like. So to kick off our pulled pork recipe, I've got 4 bone-in pork shoulders that I picked up from Costco. Yes, you heard me correct. I've got 4 pork shoulders, all totaling 32 pounds. Leah volunteered me to cook for one of our friends' bachelorette parties, so it looks like I'm going big and I'm gonna have a great night of barbecuing a crap ton of meat. The first thing I'm gonna do is remove these pork shoulders from their packaging. I'm gonna pat them dry, and then I'm gonna run around the outside and trim them up just a little bit. Some people prefer to trim off all the fat. I like to leave it because I think it adds a lot of flavor. So I'm just looking to trim off any little bits that are just gonna burn off in the Traeger during a long 12-hour smoke. Next, we're gonna apply a binder to the outside of our pork shoulder to help all of our seasoning stick. Today, I'm just using some yellow mustard because that's what I have on hand. You're really not gonna notice the taste of this in the final product, so you can use anything from mustard to Worcestershire sauce. Next up, we're gonna be seasoning our pork butts. Anytime I'm cooking a huge piece of meat like this, I like to keep my salt and my barbecue seasoning separate because I know that a big piece of meat like this is going to need a lot of salt, and I want to make sure that I can apply the correct amount to each one. So after I've liberally applied a layer of kosher salt, I'm gonna come at it with my barbecue rub. Now this is the same rub that I use in all of my barbecue recipes. I absolutely love it, and I'll throw a link to it in the description below. As you guys can see, I'm going really heavy with this rub. We've got 8 pounds of pork in each one of these butts, so it can use a lot of seasoning. Once these pork butts are liberally seasoned, I'm gonna let them hang out on my counter while I fire up my Traeger. As you guys can see, it is night because I'm doing an overnight Traeger smoker. I love my Traeger for this reason, and that's because I trust it enough to barbecue overnight. So I've got the hopper full of cherry pellets, and I've got it rolling about 225 degrees. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna smoke it for 8 hours overnight, and then I'm gonna check on it the following morning. So when I'm placing these pork shoulders on my Traeger, I'm just looking to space them out so that I get some even airflow all around the outside. That's gonna help me get a good bark formation across the entire pork shoulder. So it's 8 a.m. and you can see that I already have laid out some sheets of pink butcher paper. And I'm gonna wrap my pork shoulders in this. And the reason I choose to do this is for 2 reasons. Wrapping the pork shoulder allows it to cook faster. And if the meat cooks faster, it retains more moisture in the final product. And the reason I like using the pink butcher paper opposed to something like aluminum foil is because the pink butcher paper is breathable, and it allows that bark to remain nice and crunchy on the outside, as opposed to getting all soggy in aluminum foil. So I'm gonna go ahead and put down one of my pork butts, and I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of apple cider vinegar with a touch of olive oil. Then I look around the outside, and if it needs any more seasoning, I'll add it at this stage. But then I'll wrap up my pork butt nice and tightly, and I'm gonna return it to the Traeger smoker. Now that it's wrapped, it's really not gonna soak up too much more smoked flavor. So I'm gonna go ahead and bump my Traeger up to 300 degrees, and I'm gonna continue cooking until it reaches an internal temperature of around 200 degrees. But I'm mostly cooking by feel at this point. And the reason I love using a bone-in pork shoulder is because it comes in with a built-in thermometer. As soon as I can grab that bone in the middle and wiggle it away from the meat, I know that it is perfectly rendered down, it's tender, and it is gonna make some delicious pulled pork. After my pork was done, I let it rest for about 30 minutes to an hour, and now it's time to start pulling it. As you can see, this bone comes out with little to no effort. We have an incredibly tender final product here. So the way I like to pull this is I like to get 2 of these sheet pans side by side, and I like to transfer it from one side to the other. This allows me to really go through all of the pieces, pull it as fine as I want it, and also remove any of those grisly bits like cartilage that is not good eats. As far as how it tasted, if you've never had homemade pulled pork, you truly are missing out. That bark on the outside is so crunchy, it's sweet and spicy and smoky, and once you pull the pork and mix it in with all of that other meat, it creates a beautiful final product. The interior was so moist, thanks in part because we wrapped it halfway through the cooking process. As far as how I like to finish it, a lot of times I'll add a little bit more barbecue rub, and then I'll hit it with apple cider vinegar just to give it a little bit of tang. So I hope you enjoyed watching how I make pulled pork, and maybe I've inspired you to give it a shot in your home. And if you do try it, let me know in the comments how it turned out. I love hearing about how your recipes turned out at home. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and just remember, you can make anything homemade and healthy.